Thank you for tuning in to the Power News. This is Fitness Corner with Shikama Live. Today's topic, eggs, bacon, and steak finally win. You've seen the news reports over the years talking about eggs are bad for you. Then they said egg whites were bad for you. Then they said egg yolks were bad for you. And of course, they always say that bacon is bad for you. Then they said butter was bad for you. Then they said lard was bad for you and the other fats. And they said steak. There was plenty of people that come out and said that steak is bad for you, or hamburgers or meat. Red meat is bad for you. It is all a lie. There was never a study done. Now there has been a definitive study done that has finally come out and said that eggs, bacon, steak, butter, milk, and all of the traditional foods and all of the traditional fats, which, you know, butter and lard, were all good for you. They did absolutely nothing to the body. Why? Because if you eat organic, the organic versions of them, and I don't mean the USDA version of organic, which is just some political garbage. I'm talking about actual real organic. The animals are treated like they naturally were farmed hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago. Free range chickens, free range cows. Those people who ate those had absolutely no incidence of an elevated cancer levels, cholesterol, heart disease, or anything like that. Another study showed, several studies showed that vegetarians and vegans do not live any longer than regular humans. Now, these studies showed that vegetarians and vegans have the same cholesterol, cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. However, vegetarians and vegans have a 50% higher instance of brain and spinal cord debilities, including cancer. Vegetarians and vegans are lacking vitamin B12, DHA, and vitamin D deficient. A study conducted based on the American Heart Association diet versus the Mediterranean diet. And they took several thousand people, put them on those diets, and this is the American Heart Association diet that you can find on the website. They had to stop that study early because the people who were on the American Heart Association diet were actually dying. Of all of their indicators, cholesterol levels and what have you, increased versus the Mediterranean diet. It took years for anybody on the Mediterranean diet to even come to the levels. And actually they found that, as I've said in another video before, for people who don't understand what cholesterol means, they found that the people on the Mediterranean diet had the same levels of cholesterol, but they were not dying. And I've said this before, cholesterol is not what doctors say it is. Cholesterol is the vehicle that transports the repairing mechanism in the blood. So, if you can imagine, cholesterol is the fire truck. The doctors are trying to say that the fire truck causes the fire. No, the fire truck transports the firemen to the fire so that the firemen can put out the fire. And that's exactly what cholesterol does. And not only that, but serum cholesterol, that is cholesterol that you get from eating things like eggs, does absolutely nothing to elevate your body's cholesterol. You're simply digesting the cholesterol. That's not the case when you have stuff like estrogen, when you eat stuff that causes estrogen like soy. So let me take a break and say, men, do not eat soy at all. Remove it from your diet completely. Let's continue. A study showed after a couple of years, people began to die on the American Heart Association diet, and they stopped that study because they found it unethical to have people on the American Heart Association diet. The very best diet was a high vegetable, high fruit diet with organic meats and organic materials such as butter, free-range eggs, and what have you. And all of the lard, all of that it's all good. The instance of vegetarian and vegans cheating is very high. So when vegetarians claim they are healthier than meat eaters, they are actually just people with a very high vegetable intake in their diet. That's it. They have said point blank, vegetarianism and veganism is okay in the short term. That is a few months. If you want to do that for a few months to correct something in your body, that's fine. But long term, it is not something that you should do. And this is and these are the studies to prove it. Vegetarians and vegans actually have a higher risk of brain cancer. I mean, that's pretty serious. Studies proved that vegans and vegetarians who do not supplement will die in 5 years because vitamin B12 and DHA and D are not found in plants. And this is for brain and spinal cord function. In conclusion, the very best diet is an all organic diet. That's the traditional way of farming. That means that you do not eat grain-fed meats from cows, grain-fed meat from cows. You don't eat grain-fed chickens, grain-fed hogs, what have you. You don't eat any of that. You eat free-range everything. Everything is free-range. Now, it will be more expensive, but when you start getting those cancer bills, you will wish you had spent the money on the organic, which is cheaper. Which, we're talking about a difference of 50 cents in some cases for stuff. You don't eat tuna out of a can. You get fresh tuna. You don't eat fish that is grown in farms. You get fresh fish that is actually caught in the ocean or caught in a stream. Free-range eggs, and normally those are the brown shelled eggs. Grass-fed cows, fresh caught fish, as opposed to farm fish. All right, I just wanted to come and bring that out. All of these people online talking about vegetarian this and vegan that, you're liars. You don't know. You don't live any longer than meat eaters like myself. And in fact, you have a higher risk of some very serious cancers. And the debility, once you get to the point that you have contracted the diseases or the degenerative diseases, it is irreversible. Even if you were on an IV of B12 and DHA, you cannot reverse the disease. And of course, the cancer, of course, kills you quite quickly. All right, please take my advice. The vegetarian and vegan stuff is fine temporarily. That is for 6 months at best. Go back to your organic meats. We had one doctor who had conducted one of the studies who had sworn off all meats and stuff. And then he jumped down to vegetarian, and then finally he went back to a regular omnivore type diet. That is vegetables and meats. All right. Thank you for watching the Power News and Fitness Corner with Shakama Live.